Hi, I'm a mother and a developmental psychologist. After years of working with families and raising my own children, I started this channel to share what I've learned about baby behavior from both research and real life. If you have questions or concerns about your baby, drop them in the comments. I read and reply to every single one because I know how isolating those 3 a.m. worries can feel. Now, let's talk about something every parent experiences, but almost no one truly understands. Your baby is staring at you again. Not a quick glance. A full, uninterrupted, unblinking stare that lasts so long you start to feel self-conscious. You look away, they keep staring, you make a face. They don't react, just keep looking. You start wondering, are they judging me? Are they seeing something I can't see? Is this normal? Here's what I need you to understand. That stare isn't random, it's not meaningless. And it's definitely not creepy. What your baby is doing right now, in this moment, is one of the most important cognitive tasks they will ever perform. They are studying you, and what they're learning will shape how they navigate every relationship for the rest of their life. Let's start with something most parents don't know. Babies don't stare at objects the way they stare at faces. Researchers studying infant attention patterns have found that when you show a baby a toy, their gaze shifts every few seconds. Scanning, exploring, moving on. But when you put a human face in front of them, their gaze locks. It holds. They fixate in a way they don't with anything else in their environment. This isn't because faces are more colorful or more interesting visually. It's because babies are born with what neuroscientists call a face detection bias. Their brain is pre-wired to prioritize faces over everything else. And there's a reason for that. In evolutionary terms, the face of a caregiver meant survival. Food, warmth, protection, everything a baby needed to stay alive was connected to the presence of that face. So babies who paid attention to faces, who studied them, who learned to read them, those babies survived. The ones who didn't. Your baby's stare is ancient biology doing exactly what it's designed to do, but here's where it gets more specific. Your baby isn't just looking at your face. They're looking at specific parts of your face in a very particular order. Eye tracking studies, where researchers use infrared cameras to map exactly where a baby's gaze lands, have revealed a pattern. Newborns in the first few weeks of life focus almost exclusively on the edges of your face. Your hairline, your jawline, the outer contour. They're mapping the shape, building a template. By about 6 weeks, their gaze shifts inward. Now they're looking at your eyes. Specifically, the area around your eyes. The eyebrows, the lids, the corners. They're learning that this is where the information is. By 3 months, they've added your mouth. And now they're doing something remarkable. They're tracking the relationship between your eyes and your mouth. When your eyes crinkle, does your mouth smile? When your eyebrows raise, does your mouth open? They're learning the grammar of facial expressions, the rules that connect one movement to another. This is why, by 4 months, babies start to show what researchers call emotional contagion. You smile, they smile back. Not because they understand what a smile means, but because their brain has learned the pattern. Crinkled eyes plus upturned mouth equals a facial configuration I should mirror. This is the foundation of empathy, and it starts with staring. But let me tell you about the part of the stare that most people miss entirely. Your baby is not just passively absorbing information. They're testing you. Researchers at Yale University ran a study where they had caregivers interact with infants and then deliberately delayed their responses. The baby would smile. The caregiver would wait 3 seconds before smiling back. What happened was striking. The babies noticed. They furrowed their brows. They looked confused. Some looked away. Some started to fuss. The delay, just 3 seconds, disrupted the interaction enough that the baby registered something was wrong. What this tells us is that babies aren't just watching. They're making predictions. They're running internal models of how you should respond. And when you don't match the model, when there's a mismatch, they react. That stare is active experimentation. They're learning the timing of human interaction, the rhythm, the back and forth. If I make this face, how fast do you respond? If I vocalize, do you vocalize back? Every stare is a question, and your response is the answer they're encoding into memory. Now I want to address something that worries a lot of parents. What if my baby stares at me but doesn't smile? What if they just look serious or neutral? Does that mean something's wrong? Here's what the research says. Neutral staring is not a red flag. In fact, it's often a sign of deep processing. When a baby is learning something new, When they're concentrating, their face goes still. Researchers call this the orienting response. The baby's entire cognitive system is focused on taking in information. There's no bandwidth left for producing a facial expression. Think of it like this. When you're trying to solve a difficult math problem, you stop smiling, you stop making expressions. Your face goes blank because your brain is busy. Babies do the same thing. A serious stare doesn't mean your baby isn't happy. It means they're working, they're processing, they're learning. What you should look for instead is engagement. Does your baby track your face when you move? Do they turn toward your voice? Do they calm down when they see you? Those are the signs of healthy attachment. The stare doesn't have to come with a smile to be meaningful. But here's the question parents ask me most often. Why does my baby stare at me more than anyone else? Why not my partner? Why not grandma? Here's the truth. Your baby stares at the face they need to understand the most. And for most babies, that's the primary caregiver. The person who feeds them, changes them, soothes them. The face they see most often in moments of need. Developmental psychologists have found that babies dedicate more neural resources to processing familiar faces than unfamiliar ones. They're building what researchers call a prototype, a mental model of what a face should look like, what expressions mean, how to predict behavior. And the prototype is built from the face they see most. This doesn't mean they don't love your partner or grandma. It means they've already figured those faces out. They've logged the hours. They've run the tests. Now they're moving on to less familiar faces. But you're the control group. You're the baseline. Every new face they encounter will be compared to yours. And here's something that will change how you think about those long stares. Your baby is not just learning about you. They're learning about themselves. There's a concept in developmental psychology called the social mirror. The idea that babies construct their sense of self by seeing themselves reflected in their caregiver's face. When your baby does something, anything, a movement, a sound, a facial expression, and they look at you to see how you react, they're asking a question. Was that good? Was that interesting? Should I do it again? Your face is the mirror that tells them who they are. If they babble and you light up, they learn, I am someone worth listening to. If they reach for something and you smile, they learn, I am capable. I can affect the world around me. This is why responsive caregiving matters so much in the first year. Not just about meeting needs. It's about reflecting back to your baby that they exist, that they matter, that their actions have meaning. Every time they stare at you and you stare back, you're telling them, I see you. You are real, you are important. Now let me tell you about a phenomenon that almost no parent knows about, but every parent has experienced. The checking stare. You're across the room. Your baby is playing, focused on a toy, completely absorbed. And then suddenly they look up. They find your face. They hold your gaze for just a second or two, and then they go back to playing. What just happened? Researchers studying infant exploration have found that babies use their caregiver's face as a secure base. They venture out, cognitively or physically, to explore something new. But every few minutes they check back. They look at your face to make sure you're still there, still calm, still available. This is called social referencing, and it's one of the most important developmental milestones of the first year. It means your baby has figured out that your face contains information about the world. If there's a new person in the room, and your baby looks at you before deciding whether to smile or cry, they're reading your face to determine, is this person safe? If there's a loud noise and your baby immediately finds your eyes, they're checking, should I be scared? Your face is their emotional compass. And that quick checking stare is them taking a reading. But here's what most parents don't realize. You can actually see your baby get better at this over time. At 4 months, the checking stare is slow. They have to work to find your face. By 7 months, it's instant. They can locate you in a crowded room in under a second. By 9 months, they don't even need to fully turn their head. A quick side glance is enough. They've memorized where you are. They've built a spatial map of your location. This progression from slow to fast, from effortful to automatic, that's cognitive development happening in real time. And it all starts with staring. Now I need to talk about something that concerns a lot of parents, especially first-time parents. What if my baby stares at strangers more than they stare at me? Does that mean they're not bonded to me? Here's the reality. Babies stare longer at unfamiliar faces. This is well documented in the research. It's called the novelty preference. And it doesn't mean they prefer strangers. It means strangers are puzzles they haven't solved yet. Think of it this way. You've read your favorite book 5 times, you've read a new book once. Which one takes you longer to read? The new one, because you're still processing it. You're still figuring it out, same with babies and faces. They've processed your face thousands of times, they know it. So when they look at you, the looking is faster, more efficient. They've already built the neural pathways. A stranger's face requires more time because the pathways are still being constructed. If your baby glances at you and then stares at a stranger, that's not rejection. That's competence. It means they've mastered you. Now they're working on everyone else. But let me give you a practical tip that most parents never hear. If you want to deepen your connection with your baby during those staring moments, don't just stare back passively. Narrate what you see. Say out loud what you think they might be thinking. You're looking at my eyes. You're noticing my glasses. You're watching my mouth move. This does 2 things. First, it helps you stay present. It keeps you engaged instead of letting your mind wander. Second, it introduces language in a contextually rich way. You're labeling what they're experiencing in the moment they're experiencing it. Researchers studying early language development have found that this kind of responsive narration, where you put words to what the baby is observing, accelerates vocabulary development later. You're not just staring back, you're teaching. Here's another thing most parents don't know. The stare changes depending on what your baby needs in that moment. Researchers have identified different types of infant gaze. There's the calm, relaxed stare. Soft eyes, slow blinks, that's connection. Bonding. They're just enjoying being with you. Then there's the intense, wide-eyed stare. That's learning, information gathering. Their pupils might dilate, they might hold very still. They're in deep focus mode. And then there's the checking stare. Quick, brief, repeated, that's security seeking. They're making sure you're still there. Learning to read which type of stare your baby is giving you helps you respond appropriately. Calm stare, just be present. Intense stare, keep your face expressive and interesting. Checking stare, offer a smile or a nod to reassure them. Now let me tell you about the moment that will eventually come, and it might break your heart a little. Around 18 months to 2 years, the staring slows down, not because your baby doesn't love you, but because they've completed the primary work. They've built the foundation. They've mapped your face. They've learned to read your emotions. They've internalized the patterns. And now they're ready to take what they've learned from you and apply it to the wider world. They'll still look at you, but the long, unblinking, studying stares will become less frequent. This is healthy. This is development, but I understand why it can feel like a loss. Those stares were intimacy. They were connection in its purest form. If you're in the middle of the staring phase right now, let me encourage you to savor it. I know it can feel overwhelming when you're touched out, when you're exhausted, when you just need 5 minutes where no one is looking at you. But these moments are forming the foundation of your child's entire social brain. Years from now, when your child is navigating friendships, reading social cues, understanding other people's emotions, they'll be using skills that were built during these stares. You are teaching them how to be human, one gaze at a time. So the next time your baby locks eyes with you and just stares, don't look away. Don't grab your phone, don't feel awkward, stare back. Let them study you, let them learn. Because in that moment, you're not just a parent. You're a teacher, a mirror, a safe base, and the most important person in their entire world. And that stare, that's them telling you so. If this resonated with you, subscribe to this channel. And please, leave a comment telling me about your baby's staring moments. What do you notice? What do you wonder about? I'll reply to every comment because your questions matter. And if you want to understand why babies cry the moment they see you after being apart, that's the next video. The science behind that behavior will completely reframe how you think about separation.